Yo, guys, what's up, and welcome back to Marvelous Chats.
Hey everybody, how's it going? It's been a
Testing,
long time
testing.
coming. Yeah.
Yeah, first stream of 2023. Guys, we've missed you. I've missed everybody. Alex, how are you, dude?
I'm doing great, man. I just, you know me. I moved in. You're going to be moving pretty soon, and like it's just that experience of like taking forever, like trying to get unpacking, finding the right spot for your setup and trying to be happy with it. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm almost there. Just a couple more things, and I should be good to go.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, if you're new here, welcome to the stream. We usually do this live on Sundays on YouTube. You might catch a replay on Spotify. But if you're here live, we appreciate you being here. If you're new to the
Mhm.
channel, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and drop a comment on the video if you're watching a replay. And yeah, happy days. What we're going to kick into first stream of the year, we're going to be talking about Last of Us episode 1. I Now this is kind of the same story as when we usually cover the Game of Thrones stuff. Any of the HBO stuff happens on a Sunday. Happens on a Monday, or might for me. I'm in Ireland, and basically when the the US guys get to see the new episode in a couple of hours. So we're kind of days behind, nearly a week behind, doing the reviews. So this is going to be the first episode that we're talking about. Obviously, nobody's seen the new one yet, but the new one's going to be on in a couple of hours. So
Mhm.
I'm very excited to talk about it. If anybody knows me from the gaming world, they'll know that I'm massively into the games. They could be it's kind of up in the air. My mood changes, but like it's between kind of Last of Us and the Uncharted series would be like my favorite games of all time. They're kind of what the games that made me absolutely fall in love with gaming. So when I heard that they were going to be doing a show and that HBO were going to be making it, I was like, oh my god, this is going to be great. So yeah, I'm very excited to see what you think. Have you played the games, Alex? I don't know if we've ever talked about it before.
The the only game that I haven't played is The Last of Us Part 2, and that's because I've just been putting everything in my backlogs and, doing being busy with a lot of work, and then when I finally had time, I decided to play some other games. So I think it's time for me to like start rolling into the second game. I heard
For
it's
sure.
great. I heard a lot of people really liked it. There are a few people that I know that just felt like it wasn't as good as the first one though.
Mm.
But because it's kind of like a rinse repeat, but with some other stuff. I already know a few of the spoilers, so I'm not too worried about us talking about it if you need to.
Well, like we'll get into that when we'll get into the kind of second game and where it goes from there when we get talking. But I'm curious, just so you have played the first game, yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah, brilliant.
100%
Okay,
through.
yeah. So yeah, like you know, I- what did you think? Like, I've seen like the ratings of it are just absolutely through the roof.
Yeah.
I think it. I know it's only one episode, so like I don't really trust the ratings of the show. Like people are kind of a bit hyping it a bit too much. I think like they're saying it's the highest rated HBO show of all time, and it's like there's been one episode. Calm down. I do think that it's going to continue to be this good because
Mhm.
from what I've seen from the first episode, they really are following the source material. And as I said, the first game could be my favorite game of all time. Like it really is. It's top three easily. And I just think that the fact that they're so close to the source material really does tell me that this show actually could be one of the highest rated TV shows
Well,
ever.
yeah, yeah, and it's mainly because you have the people who created the damn thing on the team,
Yeah,
making sure that it doesn't look like a piece of shit.
yeah,
And that's one of the things that I really loved about it is that like you see that Neil Druckmann's a part of it. I'm pretty sure Troy Baker's sitting there like making sure everything kind of looks similar.
yeah.
I'm not sure how they are on the set, but I know maybe they were like part of the story writing team,
Mm.
just to make sure that it doesn't sound too far fetched.
I know Troy
And
has a cameo in it, and he's going to actually be in it.
yeah,
So
and I'm
I
excited
saw
about
I
that.
saw a picture of him, but I don't know if it's going to be a big role or if he's going to kind of just be chilling in the background. It's kind of like Easter egg thing, kind of try spot him,
Right,
sort of vibes.
exactly.
But I'm happy he's in it. Yeah, like look, I don't know, like let's just kind of go into the episode, I suppose.
Yeah.
Um, like for me, it was very special for me because, as I said, such a massive fan of the game. I played the game a good few times as well. So, like, even in that scene, like the opening scene of the show where Sarah comes down the stairs and she's making breakfast and all this sort of stuff. I'm walking through that, like I feel like I'm walking through that house. Like even the house felt the same as the game. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? The kitchen was the same, the backsliding door was the same. You know, like, I kind of know the start of the game pretty well, and I know bits that they added in, and bits like that they extended, and bits that they left out. Like I kind of thought it would have been cool if like someone came crashing through the back door like they did in the game, but they did it differently with her going into the neighbor's house and stuff like that. Like, and I was like, okay, it's different, but it's cool. Like, I was kind of trying not to over critique it too much. Um, some of the things I really loved, like, I loved how they kind of dipped in a bit deeper with Sarah, because
Mhm.
they didn't go into her story that much in the game. So, and
Mhm.
I feel like because you're playing the game, I feel like you don't need that much of a connection to her when you're actually playing it, because you start the game out, you're her, you're roaming around the house, and then you have to actually go through the city and try and actually get out. And I thought obviously that was so intense when you're playing the game, that when the famous Sarah scene comes up, it hits
Oh
you so
yeah.
hard, because you've struggled to get out of the town.
Right.
Whereas in the show they kind of nearly skipped past it a lot. But what they did very cleverly was they built it up, like they introduced us to her and kind of built her backstory a bit more so that we got to know her a little better, rather than just getting to the town and then straight away it just happens.
Right. And
So I
and
thought that was
you
very clever.
right, and you have to build up a at least a little bit of a relationship with them. It's
Yeah,
like you said, it's different from video games. In video games, we're able to control the character, we're able to manipulate the character and make sure that they do exactly what we want them to do as they get the story going forward. But in terms of like a show, I can see why they had to add a few things here and there so that it doesn't feel like it's an empty moment, considering that you'll if you were to have Sarah just be there for a bit and then have that scene,
yeah,
then it kind of defeats the purpose of like even knowing the character, because that would be so quick compared to like what we had to deal with.
yeah,
um
exactly, like
and and
exactly.
and the thing is like I really actually like after a while I was thinking like, oh, that's kind of weird that they did that, but I think it's actually a great idea, because then you get to know that Sarah likes to communicate with the neighbors. She knows everybody in the neighborhood, and she's a kind-hearted person. She does what she can to make people happy, and that's in a short amount of time. Like the whole watch thing. I know that she took Joel's money for it, but like he would. It's like she said, you would have never done it.
Exactly.
um
Yeah.
and that holds meaning. It's like, you don't do things unless I help you.
Yeah.
And that kind of like that proceeds to translate over to when we see Ellie, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see that in the second episode. uh in terms of that scene though, like how did you feel about the death scene? Because I don't care how many times I've seen it, I tear up, like I can't help it.
I tear up. I think the game version of it hits me a lot harder.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's just because, again, I've just gone through the stressful thing of actually trying to escape this town. So it's like it's I'm in it, like, I'm fully immersed, and that's what I love about games like this, games like Uncharted.
Mhm.
It's and like God of War and all this sort of stuff. Like you feel like you're actually in it. You're in a movie. You're playing it. You are the character. So like, I think the show, it did it well. It was very, very accurate to the game. Um, what I was very interested in is, like, my girlfriend has never played the game. She's never seen a frame from the game at all. So I was kind of like watching corner of my eye. I was like, is she gonna tear up? Like, I want to see what happens here. Because like she'll tear up watching stupid stuff on TV. Like, you know what I mean? She's very emotional when it comes to TV a lot of the time. So, but she didn't do anything, and I was like, what the hell? And I was like, I was quite disappointed that she didn't, So I was like, shit, maybe it wasn't good, but I have heard a lot of people saying what you're saying, like they still did get emotional. Um,
Yeah. It's because it still hits within the game itself. Like you think about that moment in the game that you remember the very
yeah,
first time. And to be honest, I think it would have hit even harder had they done it the exact same way that you see in the game itself.
hmm,
Because although I do enjoy that they created that intro, and that they have the intro ready to go and it's in the first episode, I think it would have hit much more if it had cut to that like intro at the very moment that he's holding, Sarah, and a few seconds pass by, fades to black, then you see The Last of Us, just like in the game. Like
yeah,
that would have hit so fucking hard. Like I would have been weeping at that point. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I can see why, in terms of a show, like you kind of have to like hit people with it like faster. You have to
mhm,
be like, okay, this is The Last of Us. Just remember, this is the show.
yeah.
And it's hard to take in. I know we're gamers and we like to critique a lot of things, but that's one thing that I would say like is kind of a it was like almost there, almost at perfect.
Yeah, yeah. Like I know it was different, and because it was different, it wasn't as good to me. But I can
Hmm.
see the adaptation adapted for TV,
Hmm.
and it made a lot of sense. Just with how they did it, I thought it was like if I was going to rate the episode, I would probably give it a 10 out of 10. I like 9.9. You may as well round it up to 10. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with the episode. There's a couple of things that were different, and
Hmm.
maybe they could have been a little closer to the game, but I can understand why they would make these changes. It's a different experience when you're sitting there watching it, and I think that's exactly why we spent so much time with Sarah at the start. And like, God, that actress was incredible. I'm actually
She's
sad.
fantastic.
I'm sad that she's gone so quickly. Like, obviously, we all knew she was going to be gone this quickly,
Hmm.
but I just can't believe how good she was. Like she was so, so good. And I was just really sad that she had to go so quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe they might do some dream sequences in the show as it's going on, and maybe we might get some more scenes with her, Joel dreaming about her or something like that, and we might get to see some stuff that happened before the breakout, or I don't know. To be honest, I wouldn't be angry with that. I think any excuse to use the actress again because she was that good.
Right. And I agree wholeheartedly because when you think about it, we don't know what's inside the minds of the characters. And
Mhm.
that's the one part of the game. But in the show, like we want to know like what did they do in their past? Like did they actually like have fun? Like were there a lot of hardships? What actually went on in their
Yeah,
lives and what was it like beforehand? And that's what we don't see in the game. And from what it looks like, we might actually get a glimpse of that. As you said, like maybe we'll get a dream sequence with Joel. I
yeah.
know for sure we're probably going to get a back. We're most likely going to get Ellie and Riley, either in a
Actually,
dream or in
s-
like a backstory.
did you? So did you play the DLC for the first game?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes, I
it
did.
looks like I think I saw it in one of the trailers as a clip from it, and it's the two girls from the DLC. So I think that they're gonna incorporate that into the first season.
Hmm.
Question I was gonna ask you was because I've been thinking about it, and I've heard some people kind of talking about it, saying that they think that maybe season one will end the same way that the first game ends, and then season two will be the second game. But like the way I'm thinking about it is like I wonder would they spread out the game even more so that or sorry, spread out the show even more so that, by the time it gets around to the end of the first game, you could be into season two or three. What do
Uh,
you think?
well, well, I mean, when it comes to the show, it has to end rather quickly, at least for part one, because if you think in terms of the game, there's not very much like that we work with in between, and that's why they're elongating it with Marlene like in the background. Like that part, like to be honest, that's one thing I wanted to talk about too, is that scene that we never saw in the game itself is of her like plotting, the whole rebellion thing, the revolution with the
Yeah,
fireflies. Like that was really cool to see because we've never seen what Marlene does in the background, and
true.
why she could be the way she is, because it just didn't seem it felt like a quick 180 near the end of the
Hmm.
game, but like it
Yeah,
was a warranted one. It was like, okay, I get it.
yeah,
This one, it's going to help the audience understand like why Marlene is the way she is or why Tess is the way she is,
yeah,
and that's going to be the elongating part of it. Now, in terms of there being a third season, I would have to hope that it's because they're going to have a third part to the game, and I'm assuming that there is, considering that it's reached such acclaim, and
yeah.
I don't think part two ended on like on a bad note as far as I can remember.
No,
Um,
I'm not going to spoil the second game for anybody because I can see BB in the chat talking about it here. She hasn't seen the show, and um, I know you haven't played the second game, but the second game there is. I'll just say that there's a time jump from the first game, so Ellie's older,
right,
and
right.
there's like some pretty pivotal things that happen to some very important characters in the second one. So
Mhm.
why I think potentially like if the show is as big as it's going to be, I think that they may want to stretch the story out because there's some things that happen that are quite pivotal in the second game that I think don't really work for the TV style of storytelling when you're going to potentially be getting rid of really important characters very
Right.
early, you know?
Exactly.
So that's why I'm kind of curious is like, because even if you think about it, right, we haven't even seen really a clicker properly yet, and the first episode's already over. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of like, are they really stretching it out? Like, like that's kind of my train of thought.
And
Um,
I mean, I really hope they do. Like the additional scenes that we get to see, like I said, they're fantastic. I think it works well. The
yeah,
only thing that I think kind of puts it down a little bit, and this is more of a character perspective than a scene perspective, is Tess. I don't believe this Tess, to be completely honest, because in the game, we didn't see the whole interrogation part with Robert, or even Tess being ambushed or
yeah,
beaten. But in terms of how Tess is in the show compared to the one in the one in the game is actually much tougher than the one in the show. Because in the game, like we see Tess, she comes by, you know, she tells Joel, like, "Hey, I got roughed up by a couple of guys." And he's like, "Are these guys still alive?" And she smirks and she's like, "That's funny." And I was waiting for that part because
yeah,
I was thinking, like, we need, like, I want that badass Tess. I want that Tess
yeah,
coming out and being like, "I don't give a shit. I will kill anybody that gets in my way."
yeah,
And I wanted to see, like, that's not the point. The point is Robert fucking sent them. I was waiting for that scene too. Like, I wanted that shot. And we didn't
yeah,
really get it. We got a very soft one. Like, the thing is that Robert sent them, and I was like,
yeah,
that kind of didn't hit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. I like her as an actress though.
Yeah,
Like
she's great.
she's great. Like so, and like the casting for the whole show is very like like I love Pedro Pascal. Like I saw someone put up a tweet or something about it. It's like he's going to be owning TV in January and February now with The Last of Us, and then it's like Mandalorian starts on the 1st of March, and it's like boom, he goes in again, and he's going to be like owning the next couple of months, and that's like it's like the dude is taking over the small screen. It's crazy,
Right. And did they
crazy.
wrap up the Mandalorian already?
Yeah, season 3 is going to be airing in March, so I'm pretty sure it's all done. It's ready to go.
Gotcha.
And then we got Ahsoka in the summer. So like the whole like this is going to be a big year for Star Wars. I think I'm not a fan of Bad Batch. I wasn't a fan of the animated show, but I've heard the new season is getting some good reviews. Some of the episodes are hitting very well. So you've got a good
Mhm.
start to the year. Then we've got the Jedi Survivor game, the sequel to Fallen Order, which is going to be absolutely bonkers. Can't wait.
And I
He's
still
streaming that
haven't
over
played the
on
first one.
Twitch. Oh my god,
Oh
bro,
yeah.
it's incredible. Yes,
Yeah.
it's incredible.
Yeah. Look
It's
up
amazing.
Pinto 182 on Twitch when he streams that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, no, seriously though, like I've streamed that game twice. Like that's how good it is. Like, and I would never usually stream a game again, but I streamed it twice. That's how good it
Mhm.
was. And honestly, I would nearly consider playing it a third time. Um,
Oof.
yeah, I really would. I would. So Star Wars is off to a really good start this year. And I think that they're gonna hopefully we get some good news with like movies because I think a lot of Star Wars fans want to see the big screen stuff, and obviously the sequel trilogy wasn't good. But anyway, back to the Last of Us. Sorry, I could get lost
Yeah.
in I could get lost in Star Wars for a day.
Oh, dude, I
Um,
totally understand.
BB in
We
the
have
chat
a
just asked, "How's Bella? How's Bella as Ellie?" Right, and like I like her. I think she's an incredible actress, and I think she's doing an amazing job. She's got the attitude of Ellie down to a T.
Mhm.
Perfect. But there's a lot of people online. I don't share this opinion at all. But there's a lot of people online. She's getting a lot of hate online because of her appearance, which is fucking ridiculous. She's a child, like. But the world's fucked, man. I'm sorry. Like, like at
Right.
the end, like I don't even want to go delve into this too much. But she is a fantastic actress. I don't care what she looks like. Pedro Pascal looks nothing like Joel from the game. Why aren't people giving out about that? Do you know what I mean? Everyone's giving out because she looks different. Like
Mhm.
it's HBO here we're talking about. Like they make premium TV. This isn't the CW where every single person on the CW is a fucking beautiful man or woman and it's all for aimed towards teenagers and something for them to wank over. Like, you know what I mean? This
Yeah.
is fucking real TV. We need actors, so she's so talented. People
Yeah.
don't like her look. That's you know, you're watching the wrong shit, like. Do you know what I
I
mean?
mean, and like, to be completely fair, I think she looks close, like
Mm,
not like, oh my god, that's spot on. Just
yeah,
like, Pedro Pascal, close, not spot on. But that's all we need, is we need close enough. Like, I don't care. It's just close enough is happy, like, is happiness for me. So
yeah.
in terms of her attitude in the show, like, perfectly done. A lot more swearing than I expected. I could have sworn that she wasn't as big
I know
of a
she
bad
is.
mouth.
She does. She
I
does.
ugh.
No, she does. She's got a bad mouth in the game. And I thought she was perfect. I thought it was brilliant. Like
Yeah.
no one's talking about how Joel looks different. No one's talking about how they race swapped Sarah and everything. Like no one's
Oh,
even talking
well,
about that. They're all
well,
just
like,
fixated on Ellie. Like it's crazy. I don't think
well,
it's
like, even
deserved at all.
Tommy was
Yeah,
race swapped. Like, and it doesn't matter. Like, it was just great acting,
exactly,
and I think Bella's doing
exactly.
great.
She is. She's fantastic. I really think she's fantastic. Like they've gone into such like detail that they have like the actress who played Sarah wearing the same clothes. You know what I mean? Ellie wears the same
That was
clothes.
awesome.
Joel's wearing the same clothes. I don't know if you've seen some of the clips, but people are kind of getting comparison clips from the game and like stacking them on top with the show, and they're all over TikTok and stuff like that. But
Yeah, I
there's
sent
one
you
like
one.
there's one where it was at the one where he's lying on the couch and they talk about how the watch is broken and stuff.
Yep,
And it's like line for line,
it's
it's the
like right
exact
there.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good, dude. There was another scene like from the start of the episode as well, like where it was just perfect, like perfect adaptation. And like that, this is what us fans want, And again, like I've seen like a few memes about it where people are saying like everyone's giving out about Ellie, but you have fucking Mark Wahlberg is playing Sully in like the Uncharted
Yeah,
franchise.
it was some
you
weird
know?
shit. Like, it's not
And they
gonna
have
work
Tom
out.
Holland. They have Tom Holland playing Nathan Drake, like, and he's like a young guy. When Nathan Fillion is like, it was pretty much modeled on him, and they could have easily got him to do it,
Right.
But no one gives out about that, So it's, I don't know, man. I feel very sorry for Bella. She's getting a hard go of it on social
Right.
media.
But she
It's
did great
just
in Game of Thrones. Like, she was
she
fantastic.
she was.
Like,
It's just
anytime I saw
and
her on the
honestly,
screen.
I'm just saying, like this is it how it is. Again, it's not how I feel, but it's her appearance. That's the problem, and it's so vain. And these people are such fucking idiots. But that is
Mhm.
the problem. The problem is down to her appearance. I've seen some very cruel videos on TikTok about her, slagging her appearance, and it's just sad, man. And like these people are probably fucking grown men that are making these
Oh,
videos.
yeah.
Like, it's shocking, bro. It's
More
absolutely shocking.
like, it's probably between the ages of you and me and 40. And
Yeah,
they just they don't care. They think it's just like, oh, she's not pretty enough. It's like, well, to be completely fair, Ellie in the show is built to be, or in the game is built to be, like a tomboy. So
yeah.
she's not really trying to be pretty. She's not trying to make herself look
No.
attractive. She's
Oh,
trying to look gruffed.
she's going through hell. Yeah, she's gruffed up,
Yeah.
like, and like appearance has nothing to do with it, like, and it
No.
shouldn't in the show either. And it's very worrying when you think about it that people are so fixated on a teenager's looks. Like, it's kind
Yeah.
of fucking, it's really weird. It's
It's
really weird.
borderline
Yeah, it's
creepy. Like,
yes, it's borderline fucking illegal. Let's
yeah.
just say. Like it's worrying, and like that makes me think that either these people are fucked up, and it's red flags everywhere, or these people are 12 themselves. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then it's like, if you're 12, I don't care what your opinion is. I'm sorry.
Right.
Like we all went to school. We know how cruel kids can be to the losers in school and so on. Wink, wink. And it's like, kids are just cruel all the time.
Mhm.
So it's like either it's red flags and it's adults who shouldn't even be making these fucking comments, or it's kids who are too fucking immature and stupid to
Mhm.
and shouldn't be allowed online, but they are.
Yep. Remember,
So,
kids, your opinion doesn't matter until you're 25.
yeah, and remember, the internet's forever. Don't forget
Exactly.
that.
Don't put your
there's, peop there's people getting fired from tweets from 10 years ago. Don't just remember that.
That's still mind blowing. But anyways, like, it just, all in all, Bella Ramsey, I think she's doing a fantastic job. I
Yeah,
think she played, oh God, she
Ellie.
played Ellie well, and the interaction between Ellie and Marlene worked out really well, because we didn't see that scene either. And that's what I'm really excited about, is seeing these, like, behind closed doors situations where this is how Marlene convinced Ellie to stick around and to be
Yeah,
taken by Joel, even though she didn't really want to. She's like, well, I thought Robert was going to take me in a sense, but Robert's dead now. So, like,
yeah,
what do you do? So when we get to that point, in other scenes, like when we get later on and we see Tommy, we're going to see some behind the scenes with him, like talking to his wife behind closed doors. We're going to
Mhm.
see, the oh god, I can't remember the two kids that they meet in what was it, Cincinnati or something like that. It's
Bro, there's so much good shit coming up, like from the game.
yeah.
There's some heartbreaking scenes coming. Like we know it, you know it already. If you've played the game, you know what's coming. I'm just
Hmm.
loving the fact. I'm really loving the fact that my girlfriend has never seen the show or never played the game before, because it's just all going to be just shock and awe for her. Like, and I'm just like, how do you feel, right? Because like I did feel this myself watching the episode. I kind of felt like I felt like I'm rewatching something. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Because it's so close to the game that I know exactly what's happening. You know what I mean? Like when
Hmm.
they start breaking out of the of the city and stuff like that. Like I know they're going to go through the sewers and all this stuff. Like I feel like I've kind of seen it already. Like yeah,
But
I
we
don't know.
get
I don't
but we
know.
get to see
It's
it the second time, like on a
it,
TV show with live action characters.
I'm impressed how close they're keeping it. You know, it's impressive to see how much they obviously care about the source material.
Mhm.
Um, it's bittersweet for me if I'm being very honest, because I'm like, yes, this is incredible, but at the same time, I'm like, I wish I could see stuff that I didn't know. So I suppose yes, they're adding little bits in, you know, but at the same time, I kind of know exactly what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Um, we had a question from BB. Do we know how many episodes are in the season?
Nine. There's going to be nine
9. Okay.
episodes, and I just checked up IMDb there, and the second episode, which airs tonight. So if you're in the EU, you're probably watching it tomorrow on Monday, but if you're in the US, you're probably going to be watching it a few hours from now, from when this was
Mm.
recorded. But episode two is showing a 9.9 out of 10 with 1,153 reviews on IMDb. So
Jeez.
yeah, and episode one finished on a 9.2 with 32,000 reviews. So
Holy.
episode two is looking like it's again another perfect episode. Now, when usually the people who get access to them early are the diehards and so on, and they're gonna talk it up and beef it up. So, I think the first episode last week had like a 10. It was perfect 10, like, which is unheard of. Like, there's
Mhm.
obviously gonna be people having problems. So I think, it might drop down to a 9.5, 9.2 as well. Like I wouldn't be
Mhm.
surprised by that. But yeah, like look, I think with how good the first episode was, I'd be very shocked if they did something to mess it up. I
Right.
think we're onto an absolute home run here.
Quick question on my end. The scene in the skyscraper, is Tess still around at that time, or is she not there anymore? I
She's
can't
there,
remember.
I
She's
believe.
there.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I believe
we're
so.
so we're gonna have Tess for quite a while. We're gonna have her for at least 3 or 4 episodes at the
But
most.
this kind of again is me asking the same question, but it's like, how far are they going to stretch the story out? Because you bring someone like her in, she's a great actress. Like, are you just gonna, when they go outside the borders of the city? Because if I remember the game correctly, she doesn't hang around for that long in the game.
No,
You know what I
no,
mean?
it
So
yeah.
is she going to be gone fairly quick? Like, so that's why I'm thinking, like, that's why me personally, I think that the first game is potentially going to be 2 seasons long, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
I mean, it's possible, but I don't think we should wait that long. Like, I really hope that they do end it on the first season and just give us the second season with part two. Um, I really like because we know what happens in the game, so it's just like I'd rather not wait too long, especially because this is considered the first season. So first season, first part. That's all that hits my head. But I
Yeah,
mean,
I just need to see how the pacing goes. I don't want them to like pace it out real slow, because I felt like the pacing of the first episode was quite slow. If you think about it, it was 120 minutes. It was 2 hours long,
mhm,
and we are only just outside we've only, like, Ellie's just come out of the town for the very first time.
right,
You know what I mean? So we haven't even seen any zombies yet. Like technically,
right,
like we've seen in the flashbacks to the outbreak, we saw that, but in current times, we haven't seen any yet. Or I think there
right.
was, like, at the very last shot of the game of the first episode, I think there was a clicker in the distance or something like that. But we
So
haven't seen any actual action yet,
God, yeah,
which is
that makes
crazy.
sense. Yeah, we've only seen like a little bit here and there,
Yeah.
and apart like I don't want them. The one scene I don't want them to rush, and I hope you feel the same way, Bill. I want them
Yeah,
to give Bill as much screen time as possible. I
that's what I
love
mean.
Bill
Like,
and
you could have 2 episodes about with Bill in them, like, you know what I mean? This is what I'm saying to you, like, and then you've got to get the adventure to the hospital and so on, and the whole scene where they jump forward in time, and we've got where they're up in the mountains in the snow and everything like that. Could be 2
right.
episodes as well, and they got to go find Tommy, and you know what I mean. Like
Yeah,
there's
they
so
like
much to tell, and there's only 9 episodes. I really think that this season is not going to complete the first game.
well, we'll
I really
see
think
when we
that.
see the second episode, we'll see how their pacing goes.
Yeah,
And if it seems like it's going to take a while, then you're probably right. It's probably going to be just the first half being the first season, and
yeah.
then part two is going to be the second season.
Yeah, like I really hope. Again, I can't talk about the second game, so I'm kind of like being careful with what I say here because I don't want to ruin it on you. But like there's some very, very serious things that happen in the second game, and I just have a feeling that with this show, with how popular it is and how much they've put into marketing and everything, like marketing, I don't know what it's like over in the US, but for us in Ireland, like it's rare that I see something like I'll see obviously Game of Thrones getting advertised on bus stops and all that sort of stuff, like but
Mhm.
it's rare that I see anything that we talk about. Like none of the Marvel stuff gets advertised over here. Like there isn't like Hawkeye posters on buses and stuff like that. They don't go to that depth. But I saw the day that the show came out, I wasn't working, and I went to like a petrol station, and I was walking out of the petrol station, and I saw like a newsstand with like the papers and stuff, and
Mhm.
The Last of Us was on the front of the one of the Irish newspapers, and I was like, wow, I was like, wow, like that's crazy. And I'm seeing The Last of Us on buses, I'm seeing it on bus stops, and like they've gone absolutely ham on the fucking advertising of this show,
Mhm.
which makes me think that they're going to stretch it out as far as they can. It's a
Yeah.
big win for us gamers. Yes, absolutely, BB. It's massive,
See,
massive win for us.
I live in a section of the area where I think it's like mostly the older generation because
Mhm.
all I see on my billboards is like, snow tires, get your snow tires. I don't really see much
Yeah,
big billboards on that. And we're not really near buses or anything. So once we
yeah,
get into downtown, that's when I actually see all the action coming in. And
mhm.
I have been seeing quite a few like Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumanium,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
which I don't know if you got your tickets yet, but I got my tickets.
I did. I bought my tickets. I've got tickets for the 17th on opening day, IMAX, like 5 rows from the front center. It's gonna be great.
Oh yeah, man.
Can't wait, bro. Can't
I
wait.
got mine for the 16th with Dolby Cinema like recliner
Oh
seats.
yes, very nice, very
Yeah.
nice. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, like it's just like when you think about like game adaptations, like I actually quite enjoyed the Uncharted movie. I've actually watched it 2 or 3 times, like, and I enjoy it. I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man and stuff, so I'm kind of like just I'm comfortable watching it because I like Tom Holland. But I can understand why a lot of people don't, and a lot of people hate Mark Wahlberg as well. I don't mind Mark Wahlberg, so the movie for me isn't bad. But again, it's nowhere near this. Like it's nowhere near as accurate. It's nowhere near like you can tell that there's not the same amount of love and care gone into it.
Right.
All the Resident Evil stuff is shit. Like
I don't
the new TV show on Netflix, awful. That movie that came out last or in 2020, Welcome to Raccoon City, awful. The movies that came out like back in the day, I liked the
with
first one, and then they just went off the rails
yeah, with like
quick.
feature with Alice because
Yeah,
like that character didn't exist in the previous games,
and then
and
she
so
became
they
a
had to figure out a way to
girl.
like they had to figure out a way to work around it, and it
Yeah,
just didn't fucking work because like every time a new movie came out, it's like, oh, what's the new thing? Oh, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5. What do we do? Throw Las
yeah,
Plagas in there. When the fuck
yeah.
did we start getting Las? Anyways,
Oh, bro,
I will rant
bro.
about that all day if I have to.
Dude, it was so bad. It was so bad. And like, the fourth game or the fourth movie starts and there's like she's created like 100 clones of herself. I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? Like it was just insane. It was really was.
And
BB in the
the,
chat just brought up the Assassin's Creed movie as well. I love Michael Fassbender, but again, that movie was shit. It was terrible.
yeah,
This
yeah.
seems to be really kind of the first time that I can think of anyway. This is the first time that they've absolutely nailed a
Oh
video
yeah.
game into a movie. Like this is the first time.
Where they've done it right? Yes,
Yeah, like
I
just
wholeheartedly
nailed it.
agree. And and I would say that only is inclusive of Americanized movies, not
Mm,
including the Japanese adaptation,
yeah,
because some Japanese adaptations of live action, they're pretty good. They're pretty
yeah.
damn good.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like what the Netflix did the Cyberpunk thing, the game into the animated show, and that was incredible. I really enjoyed that. And like obviously Arcane as well is another great example in the animated space. But I think the live
Yeah.
action space is always so much harder to to pull it off. And
Well,
yeah, I would say HBO are probably the reason for it. Like I asked this on one of my Twitch streams during the week, and I want to put the question to you now, Alex. Can you name a bad project that HBO have ever put out?
not off the top of my head.
The only
Not
thing
off
I
the
can
top.
think of, right, off the top of my head, the only thing I can think of is Sex in the City, right? But, and I'm not a
It,
fan of that, but the
right.
show was incredibly successful and women across the world love it. So it's not a right answer. It's something that I would think is shit, but because it's not made for me, you know what I mean? But it was one of the biggest shows ever, and it's HBO. Like, you know what I mean?
What's
Like, I can't
Yeah,
think
and
of
I
like
agree
I
with
can't think
you.
of one.
One of the funny things about that show too is for the fact that I like that came out when I was young. I was too young to really understand what the hell was going on. All I know is that they were having fun in the city and whatnot, and that's all that hit my head. I swear I've seen someone watch like an episode not too long ago, and I was like, huh, it's actually kind of funny. And I'm like, maybe my taste just like changes over time, but like as I get older, I'm like more understanding, maybe more appreciative. I
Yeah.
I really think that when it comes to shows, like I'm really don't know the show Friends too much, but I know everybody loves it,
Hmm.
and I know Katie would love for me to watch it, and she thinks that I would probably appreciate it.
Friends.
And
You've never seen
yeah,
Friends? Wow.
I've never seen Friends.
I watch Friends every single day, like because it's the show I throw on when I'm falling asleep. So like Friends is on in my house every day. That's hilarious. What do you think of this
I,
comic here this comment here from Sebi?
You're really skeptical with the show. You heard they changed the transmission from spores to something else. You really dread the moment they're going to see the tentacles or whatever they're going to do. So you're saying that they're changing the way the transmission affects, and that's, to be honest, that's true because when we saw that scene where Joel and Tess are in that room
Hmm.
with that whole like caked coral like looking
Yeah,
um person, that should have been a red flag. They should have put their masks on,
the masks. Yeah, I
but
was
at
waiting
the
for the
same
masks.
time, yeah, at the same time, I think I completely understand why they want to kind of shy away from it a bit because it's the exact same thing with superhero movies. They want to show their faces. They want to show the heroes' faces. They want to show like who's talking. They don't want this muddled or muffled kind of like talk. But
Yeah,
to be completely honest, I don't care. Like I would love for them to have the muddle talk. I'd love for them to be dealing with that bullshit. And if
yeah,
that's the case, if they're not going to be dealing with the spores, then that scene where Ellie walks through the spores without a mask on and Joel and Tess have to wear
yeah.
the
That's not
mask.
going to mean anything now.
Right. Like that's important because when you think about it, like, dude, like Ellie can just walk right through, and Joel and Tess are like, if even one of these things come into contact with us, like through our like respiratory system, we're
Yeah,
fucked. We're dead.
I
So like,
they're gonna have to do something to incorporate that in a way because I think the fact that I understand, and we've spoken about this on the podcast many times. Like I think by when it was we were talking about like the likes of Mandalorian and stuff like that, like we can understand why the likes of Pedro Pascal wants to take the mask off because he wants his face on screen. I understand
mhm.
that. I don't think that they're gonna fuck this up by doing something like that by changing it so much just so that they don't have to wear those masks. Like you can do masks that are completely see through where you can still see the person's face. I think that would be a big mistake if they did that.
Right,
And
and it would really destroy the. It would actually create a retcon that would destroy the way that the story like follows through. Because
yeah,
if you see even if in the first episode, you can tell it's airborne for the
yeah.
fact that like the old lady started getting it, and some people were affected, some people were not.
Did you
And
see? I saw a breakdown of it. Now I can't take any credit for this because it kind of went over my head when I was watching it. But someone broke it down, and basically, I think it was transfer. It was transmitted through yeast. So it was anyone who was like eating bread. So you know the way at the very start of the episode that Joel said that he was doing Atkins, so he was on a carb-free diet. And then Ellie had said that she didn't eat any bread. She was only eating the bacon at breakfast and the eggs. And then later when she was in the
interesting.
neighbor's house, she was offered the biscuits, and she said no. So neither of them, and Tommy as well, obviously they didn't eat bread that whole day.
Oh
So
God,
that's how they survived it,
dude.
which
But
is which is
if
pretty fucking sick, dude. It's pretty
it's
cool.
it's cool, it's cool. But in my head, I'm like, oh man, the people that are gonna shit on that kind of like theory,
Yeah.
and if that actually is true, like if that is proven, and that's the reason why there was like transmission,
Hmm.
people are gonna shit on it. Like I guarantee you, they're gonna be like, what the fuck? Like you can't eat bread now.
Yeah. Well, like I think after obviously the outbreak, everyone then is transmitting it through bites and
Smoke.
shit like that, and then
Yeah.
I would presume it is airborne as well. I don't know. I think we need to see more to really know. Like I think episode
Right.
2 will actually answer a lot of the questions that we have. But I thought that was a really cool kind of way that they
I,
did it, kind of under the radar,
yeah, and it does make sense in a way because like fungus can grow on things, like, and bread
Yeah,
is one of them.
yeah,
So like by all means, like give us a reason as to how the outbreak started, but try not to change it too much so that you don't like, diminish that whole point of Ellie being immune.
yeah,
Because all it is just now like, oh, it's contact, or you can breathe in whatever you want, but like it's all contact, then that kind of defeats the purpose. Because
yeah,
like that's the idea behind the show. You can't, like, some zones are uninhabitable now.
yeah,
There, you can't go in there. You just
yeah.
can't. Like you will die. Like it
That's
doesn't matter how much.
that was the whole story in the game of the sewers and stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
you couldn't go down there. You needed the masks, you needed everything, and then like when you get to the subway stations and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. I hope they do it right. I hope Sebi hasn't ruined it for us now because I wasn't thinking about that. I
I
hope
mean,
that
now it's
hasn't been ruined for me now.
I mean, now that like it's gonna hit us in the back of the head, and it's like, God, please let it not be just the bread.
Yeah, I'm just like tomorrow when I'm watching episode 2 now, I'm just gonna be the whole time just going like, "Where's the masks? Where are they? Like
Yeah, yeah. But
where's the
I
masks?"
mean, that's a great thing to worry about, because you like that's something that we care about. Like we
Yeah,
need to see those scenes that we've seen in the games, and yeah, they're not like super important scenes where it's stop motion and now it's like the camera's being controlled by the game itself. It's more so like that feeling of like, where's your mask? Like, I don't need a mask. Oh,
yeah.
right. Like, it's like one of those moments of like, oh, yeah, she's immune.
I
And
saw I saw a
yeah.
brilliant meme where it was just like, "Hey, they one thing they missed in the first episode of the show was Joel not having enough like scraps to make bobs to kill to kill clickers and stuff. You know the way you always have to go around and try and find all the scraps to make like the nail
Oh,
bombs and stuff.
dude, I would have been laughing my ass off
Yeah,
if
he's checking the
if
bag
as
and
they're
he's there.
walking there, like they're walking out and you see him and he's like
Yeah,
taking stuff. Like
look at her.
he
Yeah,
starts crouching and he starts taking shit.
I saw he made a comment about that. Like he's like, I won't be doing too much crouching in this because I'm an old man and my knees
Right.
can't handle it. I was like, fair play to you, dude, for putting that out. It's so good.
Dude, like honestly, I think this is going to be a great show as long as they maintain the story's like actual, timeline, and they
Yeah,
don't try to go too far off. I'm okay with them twisting a couple things, like tweaking it a little bit just to kind of like emphasize the story, or even give the audience a little more background, because again, some most of the audience, I would assume, is like has never played the game.
yeah. That's yeah. I'm very curious. I'd love to know that statistic. How many
Mhm.
people that are watching this show right now have never even heard of the game? They've never played it. They've never seen a frame from it. Like I know my girlfriend, like the person I'm going to be watching the whole show with, is someone who has never seen it.
Mhm.
So I'm very curious to see. I'd love to know that statistic. I don't think we'll ever actually find that out, but that would be great to know.
Yeah. And I mean, as a gamer, I'd like, again, like if we were to rate it, yeah, I'm gonna give it a good 9.5.
Yeah.
Um, I don't want to give it a 10 yet. I think we need to watch maybe like another couple
Oh, like
episodes.
I won't give like my actual like take on the whole show until the first season's over. I think that's a
Yeah.
safe point to really do it. Like all these people saying like it's the best show that HBO have ever made. And it's like you've seen one episode. Calm down. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like everyone thought Game of Thrones was the best thing ever until until it ended. It's like
Hmm.
so let's wait until the first season ends at least. Before we start kind of hyping it up to the moon.
Well, and it was like I would say it was even like She-Hulk. Like I really loved the first episode, but then it started trailing down. And you just never know when it's going to start tanking.
Yeah,
And hopefully it doesn't tank because as far as we know, this is one of the best adaptations to a video game that we've ever seen.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, I'm really excited for the next episode. I can't wait. Hopefully, we'll sit down again next week and talk about episode two. Um, do we have anything else? Do you have any other like Marvel news or Star Wars news? Anything you want to bring up?
Um nothing in my head at the moment. I know that a while back the Midnight Suns games came out and I never got a chance to play them. But other than that,
Yeah,
like
it was never something that I was going to play. I wasn't ever really interested in it, but I've heard some people are saying it's good.
yeah,
What do you make? I presume you saw the last trailer for Ant-Man. What do you make of Modoc?
I Modoc looks interesting. I think it works. It's
Yeah,
as best that's as best as you're gonna get it.
yeah.
And one thing I want to say to you, and whenever we get a chance to talk to Hoffman, I want to tell you guys, I fucking knew it. I knew they weren't gonna skimp out on the fact that like he looks like a dumbass robot, but like it works. Like it works.
It's so
It just
ridiculous.
it's stupid, but I love it. Like that's just how he looks, and I will take it.
Yeah, I think we heard the like I heard this rumor of Modoc a long time ago, so I wasn't surprised at all when I saw him in the trailer because like I felt like I've known that for a year or something, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting.
Well, and to be like, how did you feel about Kang with the visor? So
Yeah,
I
I
know
like it.
that, yeah, I like it too. Like I get it. Like you want Jonathan Majors to have his face normally, like whenever he's talking. It
Yeah,
I can see how it would be a bit of a distraction if it wasn't just similar to what Josh Brolin had to do.
mhm.
If Jonathan Majors had to do the same thing that Josh Brolin had to do for Thanos, then I would totally understand them like keeping the blue face, proper or doing the old school look. But I
Yeah,
think this creates a more futuristic kind of look to it and
yeah,
makes it so that you can still see the character's face. And it works. And I like the scars that he has on and just kind of like that battle damage that you see. And yeah, I'm very excited to see how this unfolds and why we're hearing this whole like I need your help kind of situation or I need you to do a favor for me, where it seems as if Ant-Man is doing something for Kang.
yeah, dude. He's gonna be doing a heist for Kang, is my guess. He's gonna
Mhm.
try and Kang needs him to rob something, and it's like Scott Lang. You're the only one who could help me because he's like the big like he's the heist man. That's.
Mhm.
Do you think he's gonna die?
Ant-Man?
Yeah,
No. No, he's gonna somehow put himself in some sort of pocket dimension
yeah.
somewhere. Like he's gonna send himself away. Like that's in my opinion. I think like you can keep Paul Rudd around unless his contract is ending soon. Other than
Well,
that, like
we know he doesn't age, so you know what I mean. They don't have to
right, like
worry. They don't have
yeah,
to worry about him getting old.
fucking A, man. I remember watching him and I love you, man. I'm like, he still looks the same. Holy shit.
Exact same, bro. He's in Friends. He's in like 3 seasons of Friends. He as the show ends, like I think he's in the last 2 or 3 seasons, and
Mhm.
that was like filmed in like what 99, 2000, 2001, and it's like he looks the exact same.
I saw him in
Still looks the same.
Clueless and I'm like, holy shit, he's he looks the
Exactly. That's
same.
that's that time frame as well. Like he's a fucking vampire, bro. 100% vampire confirmed. Yeah, like I don't know. I I'm getting prepped up just in case. Like I have it in my head that he might die. Now I don't think I think because in the trailer we see there's going to be multiple versions of him, and we're dealing with the whole multiverse thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if a different version of him took over. I don't think we're going to lose Paul Rudd, but I think that version of Scott Lang is in big fucking trouble. Big trouble.
well, well, who do you think is going to replace the face then?
No, I think you'll still have Paul Rudd. I just think
Oh,
it'll be
you
like
just
the 838 version of him, or it'll be a different version of him. I think it'll
oh,
just be
gotcha.
it. You know what I
I
mean?
gotcha.
I
Yeah.
don't think they'll recast. I think they'll keep him around, but I do think that the 616 version of him is going to die. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Do you think with all of the and this is me kind of going off. Do you think with all of the hype about like the possibility of Tom Cruise being an Iron Man variant, do you think they're finally going to throw him in to a movie like as a
Secret
variant?
Wars.
That's Secret
Secret
Wars.
Wars. Yeah. Like Secret Wars, I think we're getting everybody back, Robert Downey Jr. is rumored to be coming back. Hugh Jackman said that he was going to be in that movie as well, so we know we have him in Deadpool 3, but I think we're going to be getting him in that movie too. Toby's rumored for Secret Wars. Andrew's rumored to be back for Secret Wars as well. Tom Holland's going to be in it, so we're going to have multiple Spider-Man again. There's going to be like freaking No Way Home Part 2.
So,
Like
so we have
everybody, bro. Everybody's
right.
going to be in that movie.
So we have all the serious ones. So do you have any funny ones that you can think of? Like I can think of Danny DeVito coming in as a Wolverine.
That would be so cool, dude. I think we're gonna get. I think the first time that we see Chris Evans again in the MCU, he's actually going to be Johnny Storm. And I think they're going to misdirect people. I actually think they're going to do that. Yeah, I really do. I think that's going to happen. We're going to see him, and you're going to be like, "Oh my god, Cap's back! It's Cap!" And then he's going to be like, "Flame on!" and just fly off. Like, you know, I really think that's going to happen. I do. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like multiple Hulks as well. I wouldn't be surprised if like they got Edward Norton back in.
I wouldn't mind seeing Eric Bana either.
Yeah, why not? Like,
yeah.
Did you see there was like a CGI picture that leaked out of what they were saying was going to be Harrison Ford as Red Hulk, and it just looked awful.
Did it? I haven't seen it yet.
Like so bad, and people are like, like there's one of the big leakers and scoopers on Twitter. It's called My Time to Shine. Hello, like they get all the shit right. Like they're saying that it's definitely an insider. They put up they retweeted that picture. They're like, this is actually real.
Oh God, no.
So like everyone's like, oh dear, this is actually legit. Like, so again, hopefully we have a Sonic like a kind of Sonic the Hedgehog thing where they, you know, maybe they'll release the first trailer and everybody will be like, oh fuck that, you have to change that, and then they'll go and actually change it.
I was thinking the exact same thing, man. I'm really hoping that they see that and they'll be like, what the fuck? And then they change it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, because we haven't sat down and had a proper talk like this in a long time, so I'm sure there's loads of stuff that we haven't actually talked about.
I mean, if we wanted to branch out of like Marvel, we can also talk about more like the other shows on HBO.
Yeah, like I don't really watch a lot of it, but go for it. I'm sure if it's something that I've seen, happy days. Like, what are you recommending here to people? What should they be checking out?
I mean, I wanted to talk about what I don't recommend.
Oh please, yeah, I know exactly where we're going here, and yeah, talk to me.
So I watched the first episode of Velma.
Mistake one.
and at first I was like, okay, I get it. They're trying to change things up. They're trying to make things a little bit different. They're trying to like make the mystery gang, you know, a little bit different. And I'm like, okay. I'm on board with that. I can try that out. As soon as like they started like, you know, bad mouthing the audience, making people feel dumb, and just outright like calling things out, like really trying to make things meta. It just it destroyed everything
and everything. Like they hit the whole toxic masculinity thing hard. Again, I didn't watch the episode, but I've seen some clips, and Jesus Christ, like the way that they portray men in it is shocking. Like if they did that the opposite way around about women, like people would be going fucking bananas about it.
Right,
you know, it's shocking.
And the jokes on there, they don't hit, and they changed out Shaggy with Norville, which I'm okay with. Like, but he's too on the nose with things. And he calls out his jokes, which is like that's rule number one. You don't call out your jokes, man. Like he sincerely was like talking about drugs, and then he looks at the camera and he's like, which I hate. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. I saw the girl who plays Velma. I can't think of the actress's name, but I know her. She's in the office, the UK office and stuff. Like I know, and like I like her. I think she's really good in some things. But I saw she did an interview, like, and you know, she just blamed it straight away on like a race thing or something. Like, and I'm like, that is not what's going on here at all. Like, no, the show is just terrible. Like she hit the race card straight away, and then I think she even said something about it, like, you know, being a female lead or something. I'm just like, look, you know,
who cares?
Not everything that fails these days is because of that. Like, you know, like give the fucking population a little more fucking respect than that, you know, or credit than that. Yeah, like come on, bro. Like, you know, and I don't even want to talk about Andor right now, but anytime, like there's sometimes when I'm online and I'll see these tweets And I know I shouldn't get involved. I know I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't talk about it. But I have to sometimes. I have to throw a tweet out there. And so many people always come at me like and say like, all you want to see is lightsabers. You've got you've got a child mentality. Like you need to go watch some cartoons and all if you don't like storytelling. I'm like, I'm sorry, no. Like if I want to watch something that's story driven, I'm not watching Star Wars. That's not why I come to the Star Wars movies. Like I'm
Mhm.
not coming to sit and watch boring dialogue. Like, and I love storytelling. Like I'll sit and watch The Sopranos and shows of that nature all the time and love them. But that's not why you go to Star Wars. Like I'm not turning it on a Star Wars movie for the dialogue. Like it's Star Wars are infamous for having shit dialogue all the time. Like
Exactly.
the original movies were terrible. The dialogue was terrible in them, but it was just epic music and a great story. You know what I mean? Like it's they're the reasons why you go back to those movies. Like you're not going back because you love the dialogue between the characters. Like it's that's not what it is, and it never will be. Like so
Right.
I just bro, yeah, I don't know.
It's just these comments of people taking jabs at you because they think that you've not read or watched as much
Yeah.
Star Wars as they have, and I know for a fact you have, man. Like
Oh yeah.
there's no
Like
fucking way. Like I would have been like, dude, I watched Rogue One. Like Rogue One had nothing to do with lightsabers. It had everything
yeah.
to do with taking the rebel plan to Leia.
Well, the thing about Rogue One that actually makes it so good is the fact that it very cleverly does sync in with the original movie, and
Yes.
then obviously Vader comes in at the end and fucks shit up. But the whole story of them like mining the kyber crystals, for example, like that's Star Wars as fuck. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But Andor, like I think it was
Excuse me.
5 episodes before we actually even saw a stormtrooper. And I'm like, I don't care about these like factions out in like the middle of nowhere, and they've got they're governing their own uh like cities, and they're like they're affiliated with the empire, but you never see the empire. I was like, fuck this. I was like, this is shit. Like and if you're gonna see the birth of the rebellion, like actually show us it. Like like Mon Mothma being in the show, I was like, that's cool. She's from like Return of the Jedi and stuff. Like
Mhm.
I'm like, this is great. I'm like, but then it's like we barely see her, and anytime we do see her, it's just kind of shitty political stuff that she's talking. Like we're not talking about the rebellion. Like as I actually thought that in this show she didn't even know about it for a while. Like it took that long for them to actually say that she was in on it, So I'm just like, this is fucking snail's pace stuff. And like
Right. And
a friend of mine was in the show, and he even says the same fucking thing. Do you know what I mean? Like a guy who was getting paid by them to make the fucking thing says it's shit. So you know,
I mean, when you think about it, the prequel trilogy in and of itself, excuse me, is all politics. We got all the politics out after, the Galactic Empire took over.
yeah,
And so now it's about the rebellion from the original trilogy. And so if you're in that original trilogy in terms of like the shows, then it's all about the rebellion. It's all about the Galactic Empire. Yes, there's a little bit of politics here and there, but just kind of remember that it's a war going on.
yeah,
It's like we don't need a ton of politics in that sense, and that's why I think that's where it's failing.
yeah.
Is that
But
is that you don't realize like, hey, there's a fucking war going on, guys. So we can't just keep talking in the middle of things.
yeah,
Like there's more things to worry about than just harvesting kyber crystals or talking about. I haven't watched all of Andor yet, so I need to go over it. But
I'd
I
say there
mean,
was four. I'd say there was four out of 12 of the episodes were good. I would say.
jeez, and
Yeah,
that's
like
bad, man.
it's not good, and it's already greenlit for season two. I think they've started shooting season two already, and
Fucking way.
I would just hope that the second season is a lot better. Like I want the show. I don't want the show to fail. I don't want anything to do with Star Wars to fail.
Mhm.
But you know what I mean. I'll call something shit when it's shit. Like it's. I'm not that much of a fanboy that I'll sit there and watch awful TV and pretend that it's good. Like half these people are talking about. Like people are like, Andor's the best thing that Star Wars has ever done. It's like, are you fucking like sick? Are you watching the same thing that I'm watching here? Like, what the hell's going on? Like, there's no way, like, in hell that you think that. Unless these people are not actually Star Wars fans, that they've just jumped onto Andor and it's the first thing that they've ever seen. Like, I genuinely don't understand. Like, how can you talk shit about lightsabers when lightsabers are Star Wars?
Right, exactly. And
Jedi's are Star Wars. The Force is Star Wars. Jedi versus Sith. That's the fucking story. Like, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
I don't understand how you can be critiqued for being upset that that is not the main kind of focal point of the show.
Right.
It's wild to
I
me. It's
agree.
wild.
I agree wholeheartedly.
But again, I we spoke about this earlier, but the Star Wars are in really good shape for 2023. I think they're going to turn it around. I really hope they do, because last year was horrible. Like, if we think back to 2022, they butchered an easy win for the Kenobi show. That should have been the biggest layup of all time. It should have been the easiest win ever. Like, the fan base was all there. They just had to tell a good story, and they fucked it up. Like, the fact that some random dude online can make a fan movie and that be better than the whole show, it should tell Disney everything they need to know. And then the Book of
Yep.
Boba Fett as well was fucking ass. Hated it. Terrible.
I and like I wanted to like it, and I
Yeah, me too.
really
I love.
I enjoyed parts of it. Like I
Yeah,
enjoyed good amounts of it, and honestly, like it just I don't know where it was trying to go. We don't know what he's gonna do now, but like who cares? It's reached
exactly.
and that shouldn't be a thing for Star Wars. It shouldn't be a who cares. It should be like I wonder when he's gonna pop up again.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, dude, it's a rough time to be a Star Wars fan, but I really do have hope. Like, I think Mando 3 is going to be amazing, and I think
Mhm.
that we're going to get opened up to where that whole kind of universe is going, like the Mandoverse or whatever you want to call it. Like, it's kind of an extended, it's kind of its own saga in its own way. And I think we're going to get introduced to Thrawn and the Ahsoka show, and I think it's all going to really link together. And I think they might have a big kind of outro for it, and then that might have a really smooth transition into the sequel trilogy, which we know is another dumpster fire by the end. But at least if
Yeah.
they can make a good transition into it, you might watch episode 7 and enjoy it more. Maybe
Mhm.
I'll never be okay with episode 8 and 9, but I think 7 was okay. And I think the reason why 7 was good was because it was kind of the very first Star Wars movie, just kind of rebooted or remastered in a way.
Right.
Um, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
And
We'll
and
see.
I feel the exact same way when it comes to watching these Marvel shows. I think that it had a hit and miss. There were quite a few moments where, Moon Knight blew it out of the park for me. I loved it. I loved every episode. I didn't have a problem. She-Hulk was good until it started getting a little too like relationship wise, in my opinion. Like I think it should have been more of about a superhero, trying to struggle within the workforce. And when it comes to like the new shows that are coming up, like I'm very excited for them. Like I know there's still like Moon Girl and like the Devil Dinosaur. I saw a clip
Yeah.
of it. I thought it was kind of fun. It's definitely for kids, but it looks kind of fun. I'm excited
Mm.
for that one. I like the Loki season 2 thing. I'm excited about because I want to see what's going to happen next. What are they going to try to do? Because as much as like Hoffman and I were like, eh, it's still like a story to be told. Like
I
we
know
had
there
a
was
finger.
I know there was rumors of like Squadron Supreme for that, and when I know we spoke about it in a previous episode of the cast, but Squadron Supreme would be crazy, dude.
Mhm.
Like, I think it would be really cool, and I presume we have to have Kang shown up there somewhere.
Yeah.
Have to, and I wouldn't be surprised if we actually did get a proper cameo from Chris Hemsworth this time in this season.
Can't
I
wait.
know he did a bit of voice work, and we got like Trog and stuff, but I think, like, if we get like a proper um Chris Hemsworth cameo, like, we actually, like,
Mhm.
they work it into the story that he realizes that his brother's still alive, or it's a different version of him or whatever. Like, I think they need to do that. Like, that's important. I think that needs to be told. I think
Mhm.
Thor needs to figure out that he's still alive. And to be honest, I think that the version that died to Kang in Infinity War, I think he's still alive as well. I think there's going to be multiple Lokis running around by the end of it.
You think so?
Yeah,
I honestly think it might end up being just a drop off. Like he's just gonna be like, just drop me off a little bit afterwards. I'll show up. I'll say hi to him. Be like, hey, how's it going? And I would say he should pretend that he didn't die, so that
yeah,
it just kind of rolls in, and he's like, oh, okay, well that works. All right. And then he punches him in the face. Why didn't you tell me you were alive, asshole? Kind of one of those
yeah,
moments.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's going to be? I don't know if it's been confirmed or not. Do you think that there's going to be like season twos for Moon Knight and season two
Oh,
for She-Hulk and stuff. I think
uh,
She-Hulk has been confirmed as not having a second season. But
definitely
Moon
want to
Knight,
see Moon Knight season 2. I think that he should move into New York, or in the Bronx or Manhattan, and start up his Midnight Mission chapter.
yeah,
And regarding She-Hulk, if it's confirmed that the seasons are over, like they're not making a second season, I understand, and I'm very saddened by it, because that was our shot. For any Hulk fans out there, that was our shot to get some sort of Hulk like semblance in back into the force of the
yeah.
Avengers, and have like a strong Hulk character
I
be in
think
the
you're
Avengers.
I think you're still going to get that, to be honest. I think what's going to happen is she's going to just merge into the extended universe and just be like popping up in different projects left and right. Like I've heard that she's going to be in Daredevil Born Again, which is obvious.
Mhm.
And then I've heard like she's going to be appearing in movies, so I wouldn't be surprised if she's in Thunderbolts, if she's in Secret, like she's definitely going to be in Secret Wars, and so on. Like I think yeah, I think you're safe. I think the character is going to be around. I think I wouldn't be surprised if like Red Hulk versus She Hulk and the Hulk and Scar or something like that. Like they all the Hulks together.
Mhm.
Um, Den of Nerds put out a great video during the week. I don't know if I sent it to you or not, but he was talking about the future Hulk and how it might be a way of them potentially getting Mark Ruffalo's character to kind of snap out of being Professor Hulk and realizing that if he goes down this route, this is what's going to happen to him. He's going to become that like evil leader, whatever his name is. I can't think of his name. That version of him, that future
Oh,
version of him that
the future version of Hulk, Maestro.
Maestro, yeah. So it's like I think there's something's going to happen where like a version of Maestro is going to come into it, and then Ruffalo's Professor Hulk is going to look at that character and go, "Shit, that's what I turn into," and it's going to make him split again, and we're going to get our like beloved Berserker Hulk back. I think it's a very clever way to do it.
I would hope so. And I mean, a fun way to do it as well is to make it so that we kind of get Berserk Banner as well. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but that's when Banner is like supposed to be hulked out, but he's actually still in his human form.
Yeah,
And so he's just mindlessly like, but like in just human form, just mindless.
sure.
So like having those moments, showing that kind of like struggle to get back into the way he was, and kind of ultimately coming back into like the strong form Savage Hulk that we all know and love. Like
Yeah,
that's what I'm waiting for.
yeah. Have you played any of the Telltale games?
I
I saw you
have
talking about it in the chat.
I played God, I almost said The Last of Us. I played The Walking
Walking Dead.
Dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think when those games first came out, the Walking Dead games, I was actually commuting a lot for work, and I'd sit on a bus for like an hour each day, like each way going in and out of work, and I had like a couple of the first chapters downloaded on my phone, and I was playing them on mobile, and like I never mobile game, but I really enjoyed playing those games on the bus. Like I really enjoyed it, and I played a little bit of one of the Batman games as well, and that was fun. But I've never done a whole series from start to finish, but I'd be interested to see what they do next. I see the like the benefit and what they do. Like you know I can see how they've created such a big fan base. It's just it's not a series that I've ever kind of gone, okay, I need to play every single chapter of these things. Like I think
Mhm.
I played The Walking Dead up until the fact that I think I had to pay to go further, and I was just like, oh, I'm not liking it that much that I need to pay to go further, especially on mobile. But so maybe I'll go back to it on PC or something.
I do have to say the Batman one was actually pretty fun to
Yeah, I
go
played it on
through.
PS. I played it on PS. I think it was free at one stage on PS, and I played it, and it was fun. Yeah, it was. It was great.
Yeah, I don't mind those kind of games. I don't mind having a lot of narrative and dialogue, and like a basically like a choose your own adventure kind of game. Um,
Yeah,
it's just after so many other games that came before it, I would say that it kind of like weakens my like taste for it.
yeah,
Um, we played so many of like the Arkham games. We played Asylum, City, Night,
yeah.
and those are fantastic. And they still tell a narrative. And I still think that like those are one of the best games that you could play,
Hmm.
hands down. It, like when it comes to a Telltale game, that's for people that really want to just watch a story unfold.
Yeah.
And I I guess I'm not in that category anymore.
Yeah.
Like I like to play the game and then watch a little bit of story, play the game, watch a little bit of story, play the game, watch a little bit of story.
Yeah.
But kind of like with God of War, like there's a lot of narrative nowadays. Like when you see God of War Ragnarok, uh,
Mhm.
there's a lot of narrative going on, but like the combat is where it's at.
Yeah.
Still want to play
I
for combat.
I don't mind it because like I'm very much into storytelling games. Like I love them. I love Last of Us, love Uncharted. I love feeling immersed in
Hmm.
story. So that doesn't bother me at all. It's just kind of sometimes the kind of cartoony style kind of takes me out of it a bit. Like I love watching something that's visually beautiful. Like I
Right.
think the very first Uncharted game was one of the launch games for the PS3, and I remember thinking to myself, obviously, having PS1 and PS2 growing up, and I saw when I first saw the PS3, I was just like, blown away by it. And then you see the first game with the PS4, and you're like, oh my god, amazing, you know. So and then again, same with the PS5. It's just constantly. I just love watching the technology evolve, but I think storylines and stuff like that in games, like games have become a lot more theatrical now. And again, I don't
Mhm.
have a problem. I don't have a problem with that at all. But when it comes to games like the Telltale stuff, like it's a little too cartoony for me sometimes. Um, uh, but it doesn't bother me. And yeah, Death Stranding. I actually started playing that game. I was streaming it there just before Christmas over on my Twitch, but the game is very slow. Like I think I've played about 8 or 9 hours of it so far, and not a lot has happened. Like genuinely, like, people are like in my chat joking with me, like saying like, you're a glorified delivery man, and I'm just like,
Oh,
oh,
of
like
course.
UPS driver from the future or from the future, and I was thinking like. It can't be that bad, but like genuinely, like the first day that I played it, lots of cinematics and all, having fun, really enjoying it. The second stream that I did of it, I did nothing but deliver stuff, and I was like, okay, I can see why people are going on
Yeah.
about now.
Have
So
you have you
probably
tripped and
next.
fallen?
Yeah, yeah, it's fun. Probably next week I'll give it the third part a go, like my third stream of it, and if I like it, I'll stick with it. But there's going to need to be something like eventful that happens. But yeah,
Yeah.
the fact that there's an hour long cinematic at the end, that's pretty crazy.
I
That
mean,
is pretty crazy.
that's Kojima for you, man. Like
Yeah.
Kojima loves that shit.
I like it, to be honest, I'm sure I'd enjoy it, but I would hope that I didn't get to that part towards the end of a stream, like where you'd have to like pause the cinematic and leave and come back another day.
Or you're
um,
watching it and you're like, I'm gonna go to the restroom. I'll be back. I'm just gonna keep it running.
yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah. But I've done that before on streams where you play like games like like some of the horror stuff. I can't think of the name of that one that came out just Halloween just gone. What was it called? The campsite one. It was like a horror
Oh,
game, but it was like you were in a campsite. But like I did a stream where I just put on the movie mode of it, and we all just sat and chilled, and like we brought snacks and stuff. And it was like we were doing a movie night. It was great. I
are you
love that shit.
doing? Oh, you're not talking about the. Are you talking about like the quarry
The Quarry, yeah,
or?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay.
That's the one. That's exactly the one I'm talking about. Sorry, I couldn't remember the name of it. But yeah, that was fun. I really enjoyed that. Like I played that game twice. Like I thought it was great. And
Yeah,
like
it looks fantastic.
I did my first playthrough of it, and then I went back and I watched how everyone survived, and I wanted to see the mistakes that I made. You know what I mean? And that's to me that's impressive because that they actually got me to do that.
Mhm.
Where it's like I'm gonna actually take another kind of 10 or 12 hours out of my time to go back and actually rewatch everything and just see how the mistakes that I made. So I love
Well,
shit like that.
well, and
Love shit like that.
I also love co-op, like in terms of that kind of stuff. Like when you do
Yeah.
stuff like when you were playing with Clint, that looked really fun.
Yeah.
So I would say if you want to immerse me into stuff like that, like make a co-op mode so that like you have someone in the
Facts.
background doing
Yeah.
some other shit. And it was kind of funny listening to you guys, and you're
I'm
like,
like, where are you now? What are you doing?
yeah.
What do you see? Tell me.
He's like, what are you doing? He's like, I just saw this guy get slapped.
Yeah, we were playing the Dark Pictures anthology series co-op.
Yeah.
And like, I'm in Europe, he's in the East Coast, US, and like it was just amazing that we could just sit and play this like horror story game together. Like it was just great. I love that sort of
Mhm.
stuff. Love it.
So I would say
And
if in terms of what Telltale is doing, I think they need to branch out and do stuff like that. And
yeah.
that'll probably catch my eye.
Mhm.
And I know that Telltale has its own style of visualization, but maybe if they branch out a bit or gave it like a little bit extra polish, I think
Mhm.
I'm all for the cell shading, but
Yeah.
I could kind of use a little more polishing.
Facts, yeah. I suppose last topic of the stream is DC. Are you kind
Oh,
of did we talk? I don't even know. I'm trying to remember. Did we actually talk about the whole James Gunn thing, becoming CEO of DC? And
I
I don't think we
honestly have
even
not
got
been
it. Yeah.
following that. Yeah, yeah.
Well, basically, um, I don't know because I know we did a kind of video about Black Adam, right? And I
Yeah.
think that was kind of the last discussion that we had. But what's funny about that it was just the whole situation that unfolded after that was, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson had come out and said that, oh, this is a new era of the DC universe and blah blah blah. And he kind of brought back Henry Cavill and set up his own kind of where he thought that where it was going to go, him versus Shazam. And like I think he was going to do Black Adam 2, where it was going to be him versus Henry Cavill. And then
Hmm.
Black Adam 3 was going to be rumored that it was going to be like, Cavill and Shazam versus Black Adam and so on. And to be honest, that sounds amazing to me. But obviously that didn't go down the way that they wanted to because James Gunn got hired with Peter Safran. The two of them are kind of co-op and running DC, and James Gunn has come in and just basically said, "Oh yeah, no, we're going to just reboot everything."
Hmm.
So they fired Henry Cavill after he left The Witcher. He left The Witcher to focus on Superman, and then it's like, actually, no, we're going a different way. We want to kind of go back and retell everything. Part of me is upset about it. I love Henry. I don't think that they can get a better Superman than Henry Cavill, in my opinion. But we'll see what happens. Um, you know, but and I've always wanted Ben Affleck to get more. Like, and there was rumors of him being in Aquaman 2, and
Hmm.
doing shit for the Flash. And I was like, shit, they actually might restore this universe, and I think they really should because it's for me anyway. Like I like a lot of what they've done. Some of it wasn't great, but a lot of it, like I think the Snyder Cut really fixed a lot of shit, and it was in a good position and kind of ready to kind of tell a few more stories and then maybe do a reboot. But I don't know. Like I think
I
James Gunn has decided to kind of just butcher the whole lot. What do
and
you
I
think of
think that
that?
might
Like,
be. I think that might be a good idea,
mm,
considering that if you're changing up the basically the man in charge, you kind of
yeah,
want to change up like what everything happens within the universe itself. And I hope it's for the better because, like, as I think about it, the and I'm not going to go into a rant, but I was talking with Katie the other day about this, and I just went off like crazy, talking about how DC could be so much better if they stopped. Like, please stop worrying so much about Batman and Superman. Like,
mm,
you gave Wonder Woman a shot, and she took it, and she did well with it the first round. Second
yeah.
round, I'm not sure how. Like, I didn't watch 84, but I'm not sure like how that became a flop, but it
Oh my
seemed
god.
like you were going in the right direction.
Mm,
Aquaman, it seemed like you were going in the right direction. You're bringing these characters out. You're letting people know, like, hey, there's more to DC than just Batman and Superman. You
yeah.
know, and the Suicide Squad, that was another rendition of like, hey, there's more to life than Batman and Superman. And like when with Peacemaker, which is like, in my opinion, one of their best shows ever,
Mm,
like as opposed not opposed to like the Smallville stuff and whatnot. I'm talking about like the more
yeah.
modern stuff,
Yeah.
like in
Yeah. Yeah.
terms
DCEU stuff.
yes,
Yeah.
in terms of
Yeah.
that. So when it comes to like Peacemaker, it's like, okay, they know how to make a good story. They
Yeah.
know, like, James Gunn was on that and
Yeah.
they fucking rocked it. Suicide Squad, fucking rocked it on the second round. Like, it seems like James Gunn has a good head on his shoulders when it comes to telling DC stories.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing I'm concerned about is he going to try to make it funny? And I don't want that. Like,
No.
I kind of want the separation. Like,
Yeah.
Marvel has its funny moments, and you know they can have serious moments here and there too, but like, and you feel it and whatnot. DC, I want them to always, like, almost always be serious with a few moments of like little tinges at each other. Like, how like
Yeah.
Barry will like throw a jab at Batman, and Batman will be like, that doesn't concern me. Like, he's just
Yeah.
very like
Yeah.
stiff about it. And or like, you have John Stewart or Hal Jordan, making cracking jokes because they're always like, well, John Stewart not so much, but Hal Jordan
Yeah. Yeah.
cracking
Look,
jokes.
I really think that James is very talented in what he does, but yeah, I think there is a concern there where it gets a little too wonky, especially when you're talking about Batman, something that's just so serious, and Superman as well. Like, he said that Superman is kind of a pillar of what they're really focusing on, and that, I presume they're going to have to do a Batman as well. But they're talking about how they have a 10-year plan of what they're going to do for the new, and it's being hailed as the DCU instead of the DCEU. So they're
Hmm.
completely kind of restarting. So I'm curious to see what happens. Like, rumor is it that they're going to be recasting Jason Momoa as Lobo now instead of actually Aquaman. So you know,
You're like that at that point. I'd be like, you had me at Jason Momoa as Lobo. Like, I'm
yeah,
totally fucking
yeah,
down with that. Like,
yeah.
he is totally gonna be like, I would love that.
Yeah. Yeah, crazy. And like they've even like he's even said stuff like, oh, like we'd love to work with Henry in the future, but like, so what are you talking about? Like, I don't know if they're aiming to go towards like a crisis event or something like that, and then maybe they bring the Snyderverse stuff back. I don't know,
Mhm.
but like what's kind of worrying a lot of people, and it worries me too, is just the fact that there's been some kind of inklings that he actually married the blondie girl from Peacemaker.
Oh,
The
really?
the agent, yeah, he's married to her in real life, and
That's that's
a lot
funny.
of people have been saying that her character's safe, like she's going to be in the DCU, but it's like, how do you make that work when it's like you're letting Henry Cavill go and like The Rock go and all these people go, but it's like she's been in movies with them already. So it's like, I don't understand. I've heard like people saying like potentially she could be Wonder Woman. Like, I'm just like, no, please God, no.
No,
And then it's
no,
like
not
you
her.
can't
Like
you
the
can't you can't do that. You can't, and then you can't go down the road of like keeping the likes of John Cena and keeping Peacemaker. So like it's like, I understand that he wants to reboot, but if he does reboot, he has to do a full reboot. He can't keep all of his own shit and then decide to reboot everything else. Like, you can't fire Henry Cavill but keep John Cena. Do you know what I mean? Like, they've technically shared the screen together. You know what I mean?
right.
It doesn't make any sense. It's so weird, bro. So I hope they do it right. DC has, I'm a massive DC fan. All I do is collect DC comics, and I love DC animated stuff, and I think they have the source materials there. Like, it's the same as The Last of Us. So, The Last of Us has been a triumphant success because they're following the source material. I think
Mhm.
all DC have to do is do the exact same thing. If DC turned their animated movies into live action movies and just followed them word for word, script for script, they'd be fucking bangers, you know?
Mhm.
And it's just they don't do it. I don't understand it. So I really hope, and I know James Gunn's a big sweaty comic book nerd, so I'm hoping that he does it right. But yeah, like, I don't
I
want to
mean,
see I don't want to see a Batman with comedy in it. I'm sorry,
I
I
mean,
don't.
but so is Feige. Like, so it's Feige, and I think Feige does pretty good work. I think that in terms of like Feige putting a stamp of approval on things, it's not like foolproof anymore after what
Yeah,
happened with She-Hulk. So
yeah,
like this is going to be a moment for James Gunn to show like reveal himself as being a strong person in the DC universe. Like
yeah,
if he can pull it off, my hat's off to him. If Feige can like back the fuck off, or like jump in and be like, stop doing this shit, like I'm all
yeah.
for that as well. Cause like I'm getting like I feel like it's getting a little too loose.
Facts. What do you think of this as a fan casting for the next Batman? I think
Aaron
I like
Taylor
it.
Johnson. Oh my
He's
god,
cool.
I can't remember the face. Let me look it up.
He's your man who played Quicksilver, and he's in Bullet Train. He's your man. Like,
Oh,
it's rumored that he's going to be the next Bond, so I don't know if he's going to have time to be doing Batman as well. You know, but I like it. I like it. He's a cool actor. I think he's doing good
right.
bits right now. Um, it's hard to. It's yeah. I don't know. Like, I really don't know. I think there's rumors going around that potentially that they could have tried to create the DCU around Robert Pattinson's universe, but I don't like that either.
Mhm.
Like, I don't want them to use him as Batman and then start putting in like a Superman and a Wonder Woman into that universe. I think that needs to stay separate.
Right.
Um,
It
and
just
yeah,
seems
Derpy, I've heard a lot of people talk about David for the cast of Superman. I can see it. I can definitely see it.
David Corn Sweat.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would say that's a good pick as well. Like like I can see why like Derpy is putting in the age, because like this is something that's important.
yeah,
Like age does matter in terms of like how the contract's going to work forward. you know, if the actor wants to keep doing that character, like, and you keep them young, then you can have as many shots as you want of them.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, as they get older, like Robert Downey Jr., you know, he probably, you know, was done with his contract. He's like, I'm finished. I'm tired. Like, I want to go and do something else, or I want to just live my life.
Yeah, bro, he's gone vegan recently and he looks terrible now. So I don't even think he
Does
could
he?
play Tony Stark anymore.
Oh
He
no.
actually he looks terrible now. Yeah, he looks like he's aged 20 years in the last 5. So ugh.
That sucks. Well, I'll
Yeah.
take a look. I'm sure he's fine. Um, God, I'm trying to remember. Who's the guy like J. Jonah Jameson? I can't remember the actor.
Oh my god, I can't think of his name either. I know who you're talking about. Go on. What
Right.
about him?
I just would love to see him in DC as well. Like, I think he's just a great actor, and I'd love to
He
see
was
him like play both ends.
he was James Gordon, or he was Jim Gordon in the Snyderverse, and he was cool. He was good. He was good as Gordon. Like I think Commissioner Gordon like is a perfect cast for him.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah,
was great.
he's got the voice, he's got like the attitude, and I think it
Yeah,
just works out. And you know,
yeah,
and of course with Aaron Taylor Johnson, I mean, as Batman, I can like I guess that works out, but I don't know. I feel like he would work more, to be honest, as Two Face.
yeah,
He has that kind of persona, that look about him that just like exudes this kind of like brooding kind of manner. And
yeah.
also like this whole like chaotic feeling of him. Did you see him in Bullet? You saw Bullet Train, right?
I did see Bullet Train. Yeah, I liked it. I actually didn't know him. I didn't know that he was English before that movie. I thought he was American. Like that's how good his American accent was. And then I was like, hang on a second. I was like, this guy is doing an English accent way too good. So I'm like, what's going on here? So
Forgot I forgot he
um
was the main character in fucking Kick Ass. I
yeah, dude.
didn't realize.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah,
was
yeah,
like, what
yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
Love that
So cool.
guy.
So yeah, I've seen like a lot of like people talk about fan castings for the DCU, and there was one that I found like it was a TikTok, and I threw it in my Discord, but like I'll read out some of the names for it. So Batman, Jensen Ackles, Soldier Boy from The Boys as Batman, because he actually voices Batman in the animated DCU already, so he's kind of got the character down, and I love Jensen, so for me, yes, I'd love it.
Yeah, perfect.
This David Cornsweet guy was the Superman, so a lot of people obviously want him. Your one who played Lady Sif in the MCU is the cast here for Wonder Woman. So Lady Sif as Wonder Woman, I was like, she looks like it.
Mm.
We know she can kind of do that kind of role. Um, John Stewart is John David Washington, Denzel's son. You know, he was in Tenet and he's in Ballers and stuff like that. I was like, good actor, and he's got the look. I'm like, yes, I agree. Do you know who Lucas Till is?
No.
Um, Look him up there. But like, basically he's the Flash, and he looks just like the Flash. I'm like, that's great. I love it. A Lex
He was
Luthor
also
fan
MacGyver,
cast.
apparently.
Yeah, a fan cast for Lex Luthor is Giancarlo Esposito. I'm like, yes, that'd be cool, dude. And then Anthony Starr, Homelander as the Reverse Flash. Yes, 10 out
Oh
of
yeah,
10.
that like
Oh yeah,
that's perfect like for
yeah,
that. Also,
perfect. Willem Dafoe's
oh
the
man,
Joker. I've wanted it for years. I fully agree. Wanted it for years.
that
Pierce
that's kind
Pierce
of that's kind of
Pierce Brosnan as Alfred. I'm like, ooh, I like it.
well. I feel like Pierce Brosnan has played a butler before
Doesn't
somewhere
matter.
in
It
this.
works. It works. He's got the look. He's got the accent. He can do like the kind of. I know he's Irish, but he can do like a British accent well. He's been Bond for Christ's sake. Like I think yes. I'm like that works. Bryan Cranston as Jim Gordon. What do you think?
Fuck yeah, like that
Yeah,
works for me. Like I like looking at him, like he can grow a mean fucking beard and mustache. Like he can look the part. Like I mean, we saw him as Walter White, and he fucking
yeah,
looks great. Gordon is old, Derpy.
yeah. Gordon
Stop
is.
making it
Yeah,
seem like you can't pick old people. Old
yeah.
people
Sure.
are
Like
fine.
Gordon's an old man in. He's an old man in the comics by the time Bruce Wayne starts as Batman. He's not young. So yeah, I think it works. Anna De Armas, or whatever, however you pronounce her name.
And
One from
De
Knives Out.
Armas.
She's in Knives Out and stuff. She's like the hot shit in Hollywood right now. Her as Catwoman.
Oh,
Boom.
oh,
Love it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then Felicity Jones as Lois Lane. I think that's fucking sick. Really good.
God, anytime I hear Felicity Jones, I'm thinking you're talking about Felicity from like Black Cat
Yeah,
Felicity.
yeah, yeah. No, no, this is the girl who she was in Rogue One, and the last one is Finn Wittrock, he was in like the 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 Big Short, and he was in like American Horror Story and stuff like that. Him as Nightwing, he's got the perfect Dick Grayson look. Like he is perfect, bro. Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I think there's a lot of cool shit. Naomi Scott as Catwoman. I need to look up a few of these. I don't know who they are.
I mean,
Yeah, Bill Skarsgård
yeah.
as the Joker would work for sure. Daniel Craig as Alfred. Don't know. Don't think so.
It- like so,
Alfred needs
and
to be an old man. I'm sorry. He has to be. Alfred's got to be an old man. Always.
I would,
Always.
I would be dying laughing if the actor playing Alfred is ever younger than Bruce Wayne.
Do you watch that
Uh,
Pennyworth show actually? Talking about a young
no, but
Alfred.
I heard it was great. Like it was a fun watch.
There's like 3 seasons of it out, and my parents watch it and they love it. Like I haven't actually watched it yet.
Hmm.
He's 54. That's old.
Well, like I
He doesn't
wanted
look old. He doesn't look old though.
no. I mean, like you look at Paul Rudd and he's supposed to be old, but he doesn't
Well,
look it.
Paul Rudd's in his 50s as well. You know what I mean?
He
And
still
like
looks great.
Henry Cavill's in his late 40s. Like these people don't look old, but
Yeah,
Alfred's like an old man. Like he's been
but
through he's been through it. Like they got Michael Caine to play him in the Nolan trilogy, and it was perfect.
right.
That's the type of Alfred I want to see.
But
And
I completely understand like from Derpy Entertainment's like perspective. He's been telling us like about a bunch of different people that could play different characters that are in the age between like 25 and 30, sometimes a little bit younger than that, like in the early 20s.
yeah,
That like I can agree. I would totally agree with that because I do want these people to work on movies after movies after movie. It's like Adam West, like when he was doing season after season of the 66
yeah,
Batman. Like
mhm,
I would love to see them just perpetuate and just keep going, especially if they're good at it.
yeah,
And it's kind of hard to do that when you still have these young actors who you haven't really gauged with yet. Like Aaron Taylor Johnson is a great pick because we've seen his range now.
mhm,
Like so we could put him wherever we want. You know, all the other characters like I'm not too familiar with. I'm pretty sure if I saw them on like in a movie or something, I'd be like, oh yeah, I recognize them. Like you need to give them their time to shine, and then they get their big break somewhere. Um,
yeah,
but that's the problem. It's like I feel like most actors don't really get a big break until they're in their 30s, like in their
yeah,
30s, getting closer into their 40s. You know, you know, Robert Downey Jr. didn't come back until like he shaped up. You know, he got over his problems in the past, and like he became a big hit when he came back. So
yeah,
and like it goes to show like as you become more seasoned, you really know how to play characters.
yeah,
and and that's why I would always say like Bryan Cranston for just about anything that we talk about. I would pick him for anything, because I just love the guy. Like he just has great range. Like he was Hal in Malcolm in the Middle, and he was hilarious. He's Walter White in Breaking Bad, and he was great. He was
yeah,
in Godzilla for God's sakes. He just is in everywhere, and I love that guy.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Like it really depends how far origin they want to go with the DC universe. Like do they really want to start telling these stories from scratch again? Like, do they want a young Clark Kent where he's back in Smallville? Like, I don't know. Like, it really depends. Like,
Mhm.
part of me says like Jesus Christ, I don't want to see another Batman origin movie. Like we don't need it. We don't want to see another Superman origin. So that's why I'm thinking like you could potentially kick off with the Justice League or something like that. Like you start in the universe is established already, and that's why maybe they might go for slightly older actors.
Mhm.
But if they are going to reboot and start again from page one, then yeah, like what Derpy's saying is probably right. Like and yeah, I watched the Gotham show. Ben McKenzie was great in it.
Mhm.
I just don't. They're not going to use him in a live action retelling of it. Like, they're going to cast somebody else. But
Right.
yeah, like if that's what they want to do, I'm down for it. Like, I'll watch it. I just think that they'll try and stick to either a slightly older character. Like, you kind of don't want to see Batman, year one or year zero. Like, you want him to be kind of Batman already. Like, especially when he's beating up with Superman and stuff like that for the first time. You want him to be able to stand on his own 2 feet. You don't want him to be still learning the ropes when he's dealing with fucking aliens and all that sort of shit. So
Right. I mean,
yeah,
in terms of when we saw Batman Begins, which I actually liked, like Christian Bale,
great movie.
you know, yeah, like I think that at least showing a montage of like his training or whatnot, that's always a fun thing to see, especially for an origin story. If they're gonna do a full reboot, we're getting origin stories. I want a good origin story where like we get to see the things that they had to deal with in the past. And I can see why like Man of Steel had good moments, especially like during the past when they were working when he was working towards like becoming or understanding why he needs to be, who he is
Yeah,
and learning to be Superman. But there were moments where I was like, "Ah, God, I really wish that he'd have done something, but like that was the direction that they wanted to go in the show. Um, but I mean, ultimately, like if we get a good origin, keep going. Like
yeah,
I'm tired of seeing Batman being replayed over and over. And this is going all the way back to when we just started talking about this. I'm
yeah,
tired of seeing Batman and Superman being redone over and over, and
yeah,
then none of the other superheroes getting a shot at the spotlight like until years later.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I think that is going to happen again. I think that's probably we're realistically going to be jumping into, as they say, they have a 10-year plan. The first 5 years of that plan, maybe more, 5, 6, 7 years of that plan are probably going to be Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, um, Justice League One, and then probably after all that, they might start jumping into like Lobo, Blue Beetle, all this sort of stuff, and kind of venturing out. Obviously, they're going to do a Green Lantern story again, and I want to see a Green Arrow movie. Green Arrow is my favorite superhero, so I know I want to see that on the big screen for sure. Flash movie, obviously, we have a Flash movie coming out, but it doesn't really mean anything anymore because they're rebooting. So, 2023. While it's a good year, while it's going to be most likely a good year for Star Wars, it's going to be a really weird year for DC because all the movies that are going to come out mean nothing anymore. You know what I mean?
mhm,
You've got Aquaman 2 coming out, that universe is dead. You've got The Flash coming out, universe is dead as well. Shazam 2, dead. Like, it's just
and
pointless, but they're going to just still release them all. I'll go see
right,
them. I'll pay to go see them, of course.
yeah,
I'm a fucking movie nerd. Like, I haven't missed a superhero movie on the big screen since I was about 12 years old. Like, no joke. Like, I see everything. So there's no way I won't watch them, but they mean nothing now. You know what I mean? Like,
mhm,
go back to how excited we were when Henry Cavill came back for Black Adam, and that's all over now. Like, it means nothing. It's just gone. It's
mhm.
irrelevant. And now, like, I like Zachary Levi. I think he's a really cool Shazam. But again, it's like, what are we watching it for? It means
They
nothing now.
right, and to be completely honest, like they took that character and made it a little too silly for my taste. You
Yeah.
know what happens if he goes into the Justice League? Is he just going to be that guy who's always cracking jokes? And
Well,
I get it.
he is kind of like that in the comics and stuff, like because he is a kid, like.
Yeah, he's still a kid and whatnot, but like he's serious when he needs to be.
Yeah,
And like I don't see that in the movies that often.
yeah. I'm curious. I'm curious to see what happens in the second one. He's really good friends with James Gunn in real life as well, so it's like, are they gonna do something where they keep him? And again, this is where it gets kind of sketchy, kind of
It's dicey.
weird. Yeah,
Hmm.
because it's like, if you keep him as Shazam, but you've let Henry Cavill go as Superman, like the fan base is gonna it's gonna be like Star Wars, like it's gonna divide straight down the middle. Like, you're gonna have people that are gonna boycott it, people that are gonna be like, whatever. But
Yeah.
you're potentially starting fires where you don't really need to. So I really don't know what they're gonna do. Like, it's so up in the air. But DC's one I'm going to be watching very carefully in 2023. Star Wars as well. I think Marvel are pretty much good. Like, it'll be interesting now in the next couple of weeks. We're going to be talking about Ant-Man, and it's the first film of Phase 5. Like, we're officially
Mhm.
starting Phase 5. So I think it's going to start well. I hope it does. Jesus Christ. Like, I don't know what to think now if this movie flops. Like, I'll be scared. But yeah, I don't know. I think Marvel they're kind of in autopilot. Like, I think they, even with the year that they had last year, they're still on top when they had a really shit year. You know what I mean? So I think they'd have to do something really fucking drastic for them to lose fans and for the MCU to die, which I don't
Hmm.
think it will for a long time. But yeah, look, DC have a 10-year plan. I think we're going to find out very soon what that plan is. They said by the end of January, I believe, that they're going to be James Gunn's going to be announcing what the first slate of movies is going to be, and maybe we might get a few castings and stuff like that. So I'm very interested to see where that goes. Very
Yeah,
interested.
I'm
Yeah,
interested too, man. Like I can't
yeah,
wait. And it's coming right around the corner.
hell yeah, dude. Guys, if you're new to the stream, drop a like on your way out and maybe subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'd love to have you back. Um, we're usually on Spotify as well. If you want to listen back on our old stuff, just search Marvelous Chats. And I'm gonna try and put a focus on putting out like shorts and stuff like that as well now, fairly shortly. So I want to try and boost this channel as much as we can. So yeah,
Yeah.
if you could drop a subscription on us, that'd be great. Just help the channel out. We should be back this time again next week, hopefully, all going well. Talking about episode 2 of The Last of Us and kind of any other nerdy news from the week and so on. So yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's great to be back.
Yep.
Talk to you
Happy
soon,
to be
guys.
here. Have a good
Bye
one.
bye.